So let's take a brief look at the 5 different dharmas that are possible. We'll start with the Brahmins. Now, this is the traditional way of looking at it in India in the caste system, being a Brahmin. But what does it mean for us in the West, or those of us who don't live in India? Brahmins are the givers and the sharers. They love to share freely all the information, all the lessons that they've learned in their life up until this point in their life. Their job, their dharma, their life purpose is to share it freely with everybody. They have a big responsibility to share what they know with the entire world. And Brahmins are exude a kind of special energy. You know that you're with a Brahmin when you feel like you have learned something from being around them. A lot of times, if I go see music or watch an actor in a movie or something like that, and I feel really touched, I feel really like I got something from them in a very special way, 9 times out of 10 they are a Brahmin. I will go home and look up their birth information and check their blueprint, and 9 times out of 10 they're a Brahmin. So you can learn something from sitting next to a Brahmin on a bus, even if they never say anything to you. So now that doesn't mean the Brahmins are special. It just means that they have a unique characteristic about them. They have this unique quality about them. The Brahmins can also be educators and teachers and counselors, and they have problems dealing with money, because in an ideal society the Brahmins would be supported. They'd be taken care of. They'd be given money to live on. They'd be given a place to live. They'd be given food, so that when they went out and shared the information that they have to share with people, they don't have to feel obligated to make a living from that. That's going to cast a whole different coloring on what they have to teach. So they should ideally be supported. They should not be involved in business so much. They're very poor at business practices because they don't like to deal with money. They even don't like to touch it a lot of times. So the Brahmins will accept offerings. That's the ideal way to play out this Dharma. Then we have the Kshatriyas. The Kshatriyas are the warriors. In the ancient past, they were the warriors. They went out and fought the battles, protected the cities. So today we think of them as a protective energy. They protect us. They can work in protective types of jobs, like policemen, firemen, security guard. They could also work in the government. These are the law makers, the law givers. They could work in the field of law as well, or politics. So they're the protectors. They're going to feel like they want to exert some protective influence on the world around them. If they see something wrong being done, they're going to want to right it. They're going to want to fix it. They can be the activists in life. Then we have the Vaishyas. Vaishyas are the resource people in life. You need something done, you need something taken care of, you need some advice with something. The Vaishya, you need to buy something, purchase something. The Vaishyas are the people that you go to. They are thought of as the business class, the buyers and sellers and traders and marketers, etc. One important thing, very important thing about being a Vaishya is that they need to honor the work that they're doing enough to ask for what they need back. They need to say, hey, I do this work for 8 hours every day, and I have this training. I've trained for so many years, and I put so much effort into my training in this work, and here's what I'm going to offer you, and here's what I need back for my services. They need a fair exchange. If they don't get a fair exchange, they are not able to help the world in the best way. They will not attract the people to them that will be that are supposed to be helped by them. So a lot of times the Vaishyas undercharge, and it never works. I am a Vaishya, and I always tried to be a Brahmin. I thought I was supposed to be a Brahmin, and I never charged for the work that I did. And then I started charging very little. Still, I wasn't getting people coming. Nobody was interested in this work. As soon as I put the proper fee on the work that I do, that felt comfortable for me, not undercharging, not overcharging, that's when I was able to help more and more people. That's when more people started being interested in this work. So for me, it works that way. For a Vaishya, it works that way. For a Brahmin, they have to do it totally differently. For a Kshatriya, it's also different. For a Shudra, the Shudras are technically called servants, and they do serve, but they serve in a very independent way. They are people who are very inward and very quiet, and they like to, well, actually, the Shudras know the secret of doing less and accomplishing more. You know, they can accomplish more by doing less, by simplifying. A lot of times these are the craftsmen, craftspeople. They love to work with their hands. They like to dig in the earth. They like to make things, you know. So these are the Shudras. They're very private. They don't have as much responsibility to the world as the Brahmins do in terms of being in the world. The Shudras are a bit more out of the world. George Harrison, one of the Beatles, was a good example of a Shudra. You know, when they asked him near the end of his life how he would think of himself, he said, "I'm just a gardener." And those are the Shudras. Shudras have a problem when they try to work from home, because they need a real clear defining line between work and home. It's very important for them. When they work from home and they mix that energy up, they're stressed. So they have to be careful with that. They need an office to go to. Not to bring their work home or bring their home to work either. And last but not least, we have the outcasts. These are the rebels. These are the iconoclasts. They're here to stir things up. They're here to like shake things up, blow something up, create some new innovation. They're here to point out society's old ways of doing things and saying, hey, well, I've been doing this in the same way for the last 50 years. Here's a better way of doing it. They're going to point out what's wrong. So they're going to, you know, rock the boat a bit. Outcasts are like gypsies. You know, they love to move around. Most outcasts never stay in one place for too long. They like to like go somewhere, create some big change, and then move on to the next place. So they're like gypsies. They live on the fringes of society. They're not seen much, but when they do come in and create something or, you know, do something, you know it. And usually they're persecuted for it at the time. And then 10 years later, people look back and say, wow, they weren't crazy after all. They did a really good thing. They changed the world. So these are the outcasts. And this has been a brief explanation of the field of Dharma.